Hello, Danny. What's going on? Let me turn this on. All right. So you are an advanced person in this astrology thing. Um, I've made note of that. I've made note of our conversation. I also want to thank you for your patience. It's taken me a long time to get these done, and I swear it has not been me being lazy. I've just been the opposite of lazy. Um, it's been crazy, really, really crazy, really, 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 really crazy. Um, okay, I'm just trying to pop one thing open. Hold on just a moment. Okay, okay, close this down. Okay, now that's good. All right, now where did it go? It's not here. Okay, over here. Oh no, it's here. Okay, just the note I wrote for myself. I just want to have it in my head again. Okay, so so what I like to do, or what I do, and I obviously being an astrologer myself, I've gone to other astrologers, which by the way, one second, you can still hear me. Hold on, one sec. I can get my water kettle. I've received readings, um, that I'm very disappointed with, right? I really just wanted to hear their organic take on my chart. Like I want like not like in a baby down version. Like I didn't need them to tell me about like what it means that I'm a Pisces, but like still a little bit. Like I wanted to like see their perspective, right? Um, I'm mainly talking about one reading here, by the way, but actually no, multiple. And I think astrologers, they sometimes can make an assumption that just because you're an astrologer that and just because you do know all this stuff that you don't you just automatically wouldn't want to get a reading like a priori, like a reading that's kind of like just how it is, so not in the same way that would be given to someone that has like little to no astro experience, but yeah, like kind of something to come back to, like I had one reading from an astrologer who just completely like just focused so much on such like minute details that she completely lost the focus, the grand focus of the reading. So for me, when I do readings for people, and my next two are it's you and then someone else who also is like really really like like another astrologer, basically, yeah. Um, I still understand that like in order for me to give my reading, I look tired. I just said it on my IG live and I slept so much last night. It's so weird. Um, that I still have to do a lot of the same things that I do for a regular reading. I'm gonna light this angel incense. Why not? Angel protection. And it's not $12. You're from Bulgaria, so you know that we ain't doing euros or dollars over here. A lighter for that. So, yeah. With that said, I when I do these, it is, yeah, about finding that balance between not wanting to be too intense with like the only talking about the vertex, the anti-vertex, the different like part of fortune and all that. Like, I'm giving you your cosmic download from my perspective, right? And in order to do that, I have to put the pieces together, which means that I have to start from the ground up. So, of course, like I said, I'm not gonna go into your sun sign, but like, even like when these readings I talk about, like, I want to hear about someone's take of my Sag moon. I want to hear about someone's take of how that especially combines with my Pisces sun, my Leo rising. I want to hear the basics because as astrologers or people who really, really get deep in it, it's so easy to lose sight of what, was once so obvious. And it's refreshing to just get a reminder. So with that said, let's dive in. I'm going to be sharing screen, back and forth, sharing screen, not sharing screen, So let me pull up the aspect grid. So I've already seen some interesting things in your chart. Just like I love, you know, um, Venus and Jupiter being in the same house, obviously, is just like blessings on blessings, like just especially with the North Node there. I mean, I was just talking about good and bad karma, and like wow, on the midheaven, that's very interesting in Aries. And you got a 12th house moon conjunct Chiron. So yeah, like someone was meant to be a healer, obviously. Um and then you got the Cancer rising, 26 degrees. 7th house has Neptune series, Capricorn, Sun in Taurus. Main aspect, the opposition of Sun in Pluto, Moon in Saturn and Uranus. Mars would also be opposing Saturn, not so much Uranus, but Uranus retrograde. Okay, so right off the bat, the 5th house. So right off the bat, I'm like, okay, well, you know, Taurus, Gemini. I actually love that combination when it's sun. I mean, like either way. I mean, the Moon in Gemini can be difficult. Obviously, like a lot of like people who have that, there can be some a tendency for different types of psychopathology just because any Mercury ruled moon or but in your case, having a conjunct Chiron, having it, in the 12th house, of course, it's typically speaking about, some issues with mother usually, some tension there. And you have the supporting oppositions of Neptune and Uranus that would back that up further. And I think that, the relationship between the two, it, obviously they're back to back signs. So one, the Taurus part is very grounded and consistent. And I think the Gemini energy you have, it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit, which is nice because Tauruses need that push. And sorry, I have something in my throat. I mean, the goal, like where we are really trying to get is Aries 10th house. So I mean, clearly, with the South Node on the IC, I mean, there's definitely like a big theme around family and you know, you're from Bulgaria, which I'm not like generalizing or anything like that. I mean, I live in Romania, but a lot of people's charts I do who are healers and from the Balkans, I've noticed this trend, and maybe the rest of the chart will support that, of them kind of being the ones who are like really, really meant to break some kind of what do you even call it? Not curse, but like some kind of like cycle in the family, right? Um, I've seen that a lot. I think the moon, you know, the moon Chiron connection can speak to that also. But yeah, having the South Node in the IC in Libra to me is like, okay, well, you know, a big part of this whole thing is the family of origin, the ancestry. Um, you know, even like where you're from, like if you're from like a village, you're from Pueblo, I think that's that. But just I sense that with most south nodes in Libra, you know, when you add the Cancer element, so the ruler is Venus, which is, you know, so it makes the ruler of the south node on the north node. A lot of times that indicates someone who has started like the path they're on right now. It's been started in a previous lifetime. Like it's almost like, you know, like you completed like a lot of like you've been working on like this kind of similar type thing, type of karma, excuse me, in lifetimes leading up to this one, and you're continuing work in a sense, if that makes sense. It's like a continuation, right, of something of a job that's already been started. And you know, when I think Libra South Node, I always, especially in the House of Cancer, I think that okay, like very talented person, but who stayed too close to home, right? Especially with it, yeah, like around the IC. Um, and that they had to spend a lot of their energy dealing with a lot of stuff related to the IC, you know, to the to family, right? Um, and Libra obviously being like about relationships, like maybe they had to like give a lot of themselves to, you know, they gave a lot of themselves to their relationships, and didn't have it, you know, didn't give themselves enough time to like really manifest themselves in that kind of Aries like assertive individualistic way. Um, so I think in this lifetime it's really about action and doing and really in dharma, right? And find I don't like to say career, I like to say dharma, right? Um, Now North Node in Aries, you know, with all that amazing supportive energy on the midheaven, it's like, all right, well, obviously the obvious take is like, well, someone who's meant to be an entrepreneur, someone who's meant to find a really a lane in the Uranus is opposite moon. Yeah, so someone who's really meant to find a lane, Sun trine Neptune, also Mercury trine Neptune, yeah, like that they can really express their creativity and their uniqueness in. Um, and then Mars ruling the midheaven being in the 12th in Gemini, also conjunct the moon. It makes me think that, yeah, I mean, like a spiritual entrepreneur of sorts. Um, and then when you add like the moon with Chiron, right, which is 1 degree or same degree, it's just, I mean, I see that, and I see things similar to that in the charts of so many healers, right, where they ultimately are meant to go through something early on. And of course, the moon, like I said, oftentimes it is the mother. Um, so yeah, meant to go through something early on that propels them into spirituality or into a life of healing themselves early on. So that's like what I think of, like that whole South Node North Node rule, South Node ruler conjunct North Node. It's like mixed with this Chiron in the Mars on the moon. It's this, and especially in Gemini, right, which gets busy. It gets busy. It's propelling you into this like spiritual maturation earlier in your life. So it kind of like kickstarts you. So maybe it isn't so pleasant, but it kicks your butt and it gets you going in a direction that's authentic and all that. So, and when yeah, so I think that like the 11th house energy there with Taurus, being a part of something, um, and it kind of like the fact that there's so much in the 10th and the 11th. It's like, okay, well, your life is very much, it's very like what the fruits of your labor, of your whatever the labor is, right? Whatever, not labor as in like the sixth house labor, but like like the big like lifelong goals. That's what I think when I see 11th house sun. I don't just think, oh, it's someone who has like friends play a huge role in their life. I think, okay, it's someone who is really really meant to find people that they can connect with, like-minded souls that they can connect with, and take whatever they found within their 10th house Capricornian journey to the next level. And so yeah, obviously it's this part of the chart is very very clearly indicated as an important one. Now, I made a post a while ago about how Venus and Jupiter in the same house, like it's like just like a divine gift of everything in that house, right? Because you get the luck, the expansion, the perspective, the just things happening in the right time, the right place of Jupiter, and then you get the beauty, the enrichment, the the joy, all that, the harmony, all the keywords of Venus, right? And having that in the 10th house with your North Node, it's like you have the angels that are really pushing you forward for whatever this goal is. So I feel like it's a very like unique and single pointed goal, while at the same time as the Gemini moon, Gemini moon obviously is all, it's multifaceted. It has tons of different talents, and it can do tons of things. It can have two different careers or more. It can have the day job and the hobby that becomes the day job. So just the fact that it's in the 12th, it's like, all right, well, of course, there's lots of healing that has to be done around, like I said, in most cases, the mother. Um, but it definitely takes that person away from that Libra South Node fourth house and into realms and areas that are less comfortable, I guess you could say, less known. But I must say that Saturn being opposite the moon is definitely very difficult in your past or Saturn return. And I imagine that this 12th house Mars also is like a big part of your desire to like go into the esoteric and go into astrology and learn more about it and whatnot, right? I'll go back to my face cam a little bit. So yeah, like I mean, obviously Saturn opposite Moon is a really hard aspect, and opposite Saturn, and I think I'm feeling this energy of feeling blocked from expressing your true self, and that Chiron in Gemini, I feel that strong too. It's interesting with the Moon because like a lot of times like when I have the follow up, it's like the parent like I'll be like it's the mother, and then the person will be like no, it was the father. So it's like the least dominant parent. But a lot of times the Moon, I've noticed that it can also just be like the nurturing. There's the overall early nurturing. Um, yeah, like Mars in the 12th and Moon in 12th. It can be a tough karma. Feeling like kind of blocked out. Like it's the 12th house is the house of repressed energies, and Mars wants to move forward, right? So I could see like in childhood how it could have been difficult um by more dominant energies kind of like overruling you, especially with like the calm, soothing Cancer rising. So like I could see Mars in 12th house having being bullied. Um and some people can just really be afraid of their own power, I think, with this placement. And yeah, there can also like a very common thing with Mars 12th house is like these just like out of nowhere emotional outbursts, right? Especially with these oppositions. They come from like a very unconscious place. And someone who can sometimes, like there can be like escapist tendencies, right? Um, so yeah, it's really important like to know like, like if the energy was repressed or overtaken early in life, because as 12th house planets can become like some of the most powerful parts of the chart. Um, Also, yeah, like in terms of the occult, it's phenomenal, and the fact that it's conjunct Chiron and Moon, it creates this very interesting energy where you had to go through the shit you went through, but now it's like the Mars is pushing you into those matters. It pushes you into like want to heal the Chiron wound, right? Because Chiron by itself in the 12th house in Gemini can be difficult because like maybe you just were someone who thought differently, who had like a different way of seeing life, a lot more depth than the people you grew up with. And yeah, I mean like lots of like really like wanting to go deep into the spiritual realms to figure out like what is this all about, to answer the questions like why are things the way they are. And yeah, so like doing sports, anything physical is very important for 12th house Mars in my opinion, because like you have to like really like strengthen this function, this part of you. And also like anything with like anger, like really getting in touch with the outbursts and how anger might come out, right? Um, so that goes hand in hand with like the further dedication to understanding the true origins of the outburst and where it comes from within the psyche. Um, so also, of course, we know, well, I keep saying of course, but yeah, 12th house Mars can bring lots of enemies, hidden enemies. Uh, and Mars would be males, right? Usually males. But more than that can just be like having like a paranoia or like a phobia, like that these people exist as opposed to them really existing. So yeah, like Moon in the 12th house with all that, it's in Gemini, you're curious like a cat, you're open-minded, you're bored easily, you need lots of stimulation. And you know, the world, the consensus reality world, boring world just doesn't do it for you. So having Chiron on your moon is like, it's just like healing and becoming a healer is central to your you know, to you feeling like you know, to your highest highest potential. And Chiron the 12th is you know, a lot of times like, very deeply buried wounds. I think it's karmic, very karmic in 12th house. Um, that pushes you into, you know, becoming a spiritual healer. And a lot of the Gemini energy with Chiron is more around like, yeah, like you know, let's say you were very different as a kid and like, you know, where you grew up or your early environment or your family or whatever. And yeah, you know about Chiron. Just like I see Gemini Chiron as someone who has to learn to trust that throat chakra and open up that throat chakra and how it can have been repressed um early on. But I think that the Taurus energy definitely helps with a lot of this. And the Chiron, or excuse me, the Cancer um ascendant mixes very well with the Cancer Sun. It gives, you know, some stability, some consistency, some, you know, obviously like very domestic signs. This like bite on the back of my head. But yeah, it's domestic and that's like kind of like the south node energy, but like, you know, the north node and everything is really pulling you towards being more public, you know, which can be difficult. But because Jupiter's there, you like when you'll know when you're headed your right direction because you will make the right connections. Um, like things will just really align, you know, in the arena of career. So that's clearly a positive, and to have the North Node so close to the MC, um, with Venus there, you know, I swear, like I see so many artists that have the MC Venus. If they're not artists, they incorporate beauty and just harmony, I guess you could say, into their careers. So yeah, very, very good to have Venus so close to the North Node. I mean, because also when we speak about love life, it's moving you more towards it's moving it's really making you have very karmic partners, of course, right? But then you think, okay, well, Venus is also the ruler of the South Node and it's opposite the South Node. I already said slash conjunct the North Node, but you know, I like to look at things from all different angles. So the opposition, I would think, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, that, you know, in some way, love, self-love was maybe difficult in past incarnations. In terms of squares, we've got only Neptune. Interesting. So that's very interesting. So I think that just like Neptune is dreams, imagination, integration of that, and I think that in a way that was a little bit like stepped on, the skip karmic step with Neptune. So in this life, you've incarnated to really, but I think that like you were always like trying to take this spiritual route, but you know, this I think of like the square with Neptune relating to like past life conditioning. This is how you're supposed to be, this is how you're supposed to live. And yeah. And just like in some way having like your greatest dreams and greatest ideals like crushed in some sense, which then handicapped you and pushed you back like you know into this more traditional kind of way of living. So yeah, but like also the nodal axis is speaking about 410 Cancer Cap. So it's like, all right, we're talking about male female, right? Inner life, outer life, um those archetypes, balancing that out. um and then when it comes to relationships, it's like, okay, we're talking about balancing Libra Aries, right? Codependent Libra on the extreme. I don't give a shit about anyone else besides myself. Like Aries extreme, right? um and then Neptune's in the seventh, which is interesting. So it's like it connects because it's like, all right, well, it could have been the relationship that were the ones that held you, that kept you away from seeing truth, from finding spirit and stuff like that. So in this life, it's very important to have relationships that have some Aries built into them, aka independence and freedom. And Juno, are you at Aquarius? Like, come on. In eighth house, Juno and Aquarius, like the ideal partner being someone who at the same time, the big must, I think, is like, even though you're a Taurus, which is all about security and the finer things in life and blah 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 blah. And it likes the domestic life, right? But still, you do need lots of space. You're a 12th house moon. 12th house moons, they need to, and Mars, right? They, like, in order to really feel at ease, they need to like kind of, they're sensitive souls. They need to like, even with the moon in a air sign, which moon airs don't always feel emotions as deeply, or at least not as suddenly. And you do have, yeah, of course, Saturn and Uranus. But you know I think that just that on its own, you need to like really to get in touch with your emotions, to really actually feel them and really really know what's going on. Alone times, isolation is very important. Now, yeah, as I was saying with Juno in the eighth, I mean, that's like Scorpio energy mixed with Aquarius energy. So the ideal partner, right? Juno is probably like an ideal partner on like a next level than Venus, which is more dating. Um, is someone who gives you lots of space, who gives you lots of freedom to be in your North Node, to be yourself, where you feel really free to like kind of take risks, like how like there's some people where you feel like you're like literally walking around eggshells, not literally, where you're metaphorically walking around eggshells, like, oh, I gotta be careful if I say this or if I say that or if I say this or if I say that. Like, those are the people that completely hinder your creativity, right? Because how can you be creative and grow if you're with someone that you have to like you can't actually open up your full spirit to. You can't open up your full creative launch pad to because you're worried about it's like the chakras. It's like you're worried about not upsetting them or not starting an argument, you know? So it preoccupies you where you have to think so much about those stupid fucking things and then no magic happens, right? So, the Aquarius Juno, likes to be with someone who is different, um, who is also very independent, who is unique, maybe a little bit what's the word? Eccentric in a good way, very individualistic, not in a necessarily like not so clingy, basically, right? Um, because you're not here to be in these like Libra relationships that you know I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with this, but I don't think the future of relationships is like how they are now. I think a lot's gonna change. I always talk about the Aquarian relationship, and I just think that that's going to become more and more. People understand the need for space and uh, how relationships where everyone's always together all the time just fail because the energy isn't able to be replenished or revived. Like if you're always with someone, it's like it reaches a point where you need to separate. You need to be alone. And in today's world, people just spend so much time together and then it just burns and then someone cheats or someone breaks up or whatever, right? So, but in your chart, it's like it's really like especially Venus and Aries too. Um, there is a level of independence and really knowing what you want in that area of life as well, right? But I think there's such a big dedication to your I don't want to call it career because I think it has like a lot of facets to it. I think there's like a part of it. Mika, come here. Come here, Mika. There's a part of it that's very like connected to your roots and to yeah, come Mika. Mika. It's just insane. Come here. One sec. Mika. 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 That was a weak kiss. Mika. Mika. There you go. So yeah. And then you have Neptune in the seventh house too in the whole signs. But yeah, so with the eighth house though, Juno, it's like someone who who wants like these like very like life changing like relationships where yeah you have your own space, but then it's also very transformative. It's actually very similar to the stuff in my chart because I have this mix of Scorpio and Aquarius too, of space but also loyalty, depth, and all the good Scorpio stuff. Um, and being able to really express yourself, right, fully, so important for you. Like you can't be in a relationship where it like where it's just like traditional, it's just normal, it's just fine, but then like um you can't you need to be able to be your inner child, right? And that's like Pluto in the fifth house, a chart ruled by the moon also, I must say, like so that makes the 12th house even more powerful. Um, Pluto in the fifth, I always look at it as like someone who is here for a very it's very obvious to them since they're young that they're here for a very, very, very important creative reason. Um and yeah, they're really trying to manifest themselves in that way, right? So they yeah, a powerful need for self-expression and sometimes there can be like a obsession for being noticed and stuff like that. But I think with your 12th house, that would kind of push that away. Although, yeah, I don't see that being a thing. But then you have your midheaven with all that Aries. Um, so it's interesting that you have back to back to back signs for the big three. Because the moon, the core, it's a little bit, it's a lot different than the Taurus and Cancer. So people who they're probably very, very surprised when they get to know you better, right? Because Cancer rising people are always so calm when I meet them and have them with clients. Like they're always so down to earth. They have this like familial feel, which is really nice. I even think of someone like Kanye West. He's a Cancer rising, and he gives off that vibe that like him. You know what I mean? Like you feel like comfortable. I don't know. Like I'm not like I'm not talking about like what's happening with him right now. I'm just saying generally as a human being, you feel a level of comfort when you look at him and when he talks and and just how he is, right? And of course, it makes family very important to you, which is another very interesting point with the 12th house moon. Um, which goes back to the IC South Node Libra, right? Like balancing out things with the family karma. Um, and then yeah, I just think that when you combine Mars and Moon in the 12th house with Chiron, it's just like this ultra like energy of Mars. So like they all affect each other differently, right? The Mars and the Chiron, like the Mars pushes the Mars is like a trigger point for the Moon and the Chiron to interact in the healing becoming healer type way. But then also it's a trigger point for some of the other 12th house Mars things I talked about. And a lot of pain can come from the 12th house Mars energy, right? Because it's in Gemini. So it can be a little bit rambunctious and especially early in life. And it's opposite Saturn, which will hold back some of that rambunctiousness. But um yeah, like it's still in that sign. And so we got to get to these oppositions. So the way I see it from 12 to 6, Saturn, Uranus, Vertex isn't a part of it, but it's in the 6 too. Um, you know, Saturn 6, I have it there. I have the same thing, Uranus, Saturn 6, and it's very nice. And I mean, like Uranus 6, like it definitely gives I mean, like I've seen it kind of give like a strange routine, for sure, a strange routine. But kind of push us forward more this like entrepreneurial spirit type thing because like there's tons of freedom that you need. So in your work, in like kind of your work and your service towards others. And also like with the health, obviously Uranus can bring unexpected issues with health. Um, it can make one very rebellious, I think, also like and really want to have a job or a daily routine that reflects like the true inner values of freedom and authenticity. So Yeah, mental, it can bring mental health issues, like with the nervous system. Um, and you have to really watch out for like psychosomatic diseases around like overworking, especially when you're yeah, like in youth. And yeah, like living a carefree life, I think is very important with this. Now, of course, Saturn's going to help balance a lot of that out. But yeah, like really focusing on like on having like kind of chill life, like chilling it out. And of course, being a Cancer or Taurus, the Cancer rising is going to help that out. So, making sure you have a really cozy home is so important to you, and a nest you can come back to. And yeah, like I think like altruism, service to others is very important for that one. Not like, and especially but like in this, in the way like not wanting anything in return, and then it takes away a lot of like the potential negative health stuff, or yeah. Um, so Saturn the sixth, obviously it's a good condition. It can make someone quite organized actually. So they might have like you might have like a very um different type of routine, but it can create workaholics. I mean, I have it here. I'm kind of become sort of workaholic. Um, and just lots of like, yeah, lots of yeah, lots of work, right? And it's in, where'd it go? Sag, interesting. But yeah, just like to not like overly consume yourself, like to really watch, like once again, Saturn sixth house is about chronic problems that can be psychosomatic. Um, so like job issues or issues with career can parallel health problems. So and this happens a lot when transiting malefics have hard aspects to your Saturn, so watch out for those. And yeah, I mean, I think like sixth house Saturn is definitely good for serving other people. It's kind of the opposite of the Uranus one. So it does add some order. So it can like be like for me, right? Um, where it's like I'm working right now, it's 2 a.m., which is like very, very average time. But like I still have a weird sense of organization around everything I do. You know what I mean? But like it's very abnormal Uranus, but like the Saturn kind of organizes it. So that's kind of how I could see it playing out in your way and in your life in some way similar, right? And also it's, yeah, it's good for career, for stabilizing career. Um, Also, well, yeah, this one very important. Like I would say, like it's important to not get married before 30 with Saturn sixth house. Um, because that means that like it will transit your like your basically the return will happen in your sixth house, and then it'll go in the seventh house after that. So you don't want to have your Saturn return and then get married and then have Saturn on your descendant. Like that's bad news, right? So yeah, I mean, if a relationship can last that, then power to it. So yeah, it's better to wait towards the what? Towards like probably where it is. What's your, yeah, where it's about to be in March, right? Your eighth house. Oh no, I'm tripping. What am I talking about? That's Pluto. No, so you're long past that. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Um, it's right here, right now, right here, right now. Yeah, it's about to be in Pisces. Um, okay, so more on the love theme. Actually, no, it's talking about the oppositions. So yeah, like basically, like okay, so yeah, it's the theme of like one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. Like always, like it's very Capricornian. Even though you have Capricorn in your chart, it's like the Saturn return will be very important for you because of the Saturn oppositions. Basically, what will happen is that on an emotional level, a lot of things that hold you back or that held you back because you passed the Saturn return. I know, okay, I just spoke in the past, but you know, it builds this incredible determination in people, and it's like I think of it like this: it's like the energy is there, and then Saturn goes through the whole chart, it transits over every planet, and then it returns, and then it's like the energy is basically gone, like the tough karmic energy after Saturn return of the Saturn aspect to the moon, Mars, but you're left with like that hard work and determination, all the really good parts of Saturn, right? Then it can combine with Mars and make you like a very responsible uh, worker, someone who's a leader who can move forward, right? Who, who even though they're two malefics, you can it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Of course, Saturn Moon is responsible for lots of depression, right? It can create a very melancholic energy. So when the person with that opposition gets past the Saturn return, a lot opens up for them emotionally and of their own self-esteem, what they really view as being possible for themselves. Um, but yeah, Saturn Moon opposition is definitely tough, for sure tough. Definitely tough. The moon wants to be free. The moon wants to flow, and Saturn is structure. So it kind of gives like a little flavor of a Capricorn moon where there's a need to like do therapy and do healing work to like liquefy these crystallized and stuck emotional patterns, right? So and yeah, I just think like with this whole 12th house stellium, it's like Chiron's in there, and it's just getting propelled, and the fact that it's like it's so healing is such a huge part of your inner soul and your inner like who you are, right? It's like helping people heal um makes you very, very happy. Where's your series? It's in Capricorn, so conjunct Neptune. Yeah. So, you are someone that feels very nurtured by that. Keep talking about this energy of Pisces and Capricorn. Who feels nurtured by, like bringing the imagination realm into physical manifestation, being of service in a way where you're taking what was, you know, in your head, dreams, imagination, imprints in the physical form. It's very nice. Um, so I want to say though, like with Ceres in the seventh and Neptune in the seventh, like there's definitely like with relationships with Ceres in the seventh, like feeling nurtured when someone does does like the small things. Um, Also, it'll make you really good looking after yourself rather than like relying on other people, and really able to like teach other people how to like kind of activate their themselves in terms of developing their own kind of self-discipline. And it's like really good for like being like a coach or a healer, or a therapist, or whatever it is, whatever exact field. And then Neptune in the seventh, obviously here we're talking about the rose-colored glasses and love potential, and how one might really need to like take a step back when they enter relationships. And let's see what else. I mean, it does try. It squares your Venus. Yeah. So like this is a big one, right? Because Venus, the planet of love, but mostly self-love. I'll go back chart for a little bit here. So Venus, the planet of love, but notably self-love. In Aries, which is a difficult position. It's in its detriment, right? Because in fall, it's in, yeah. And he pauses, he pauses, he pauses, he pauses, ponders something deep, deep, deep. So if Venus is about self-love, so check this out. If Venus is about self-love and it's opposite your South Node, and it's square, which means that like there was a lack of that, and that you're held back, and then that manifests in your relationships, and that was something that held you back in past lives, right? Follow me? And it's square Neptune this life, and they're all linked to the nodes, then this is a repeated theme. So whatever you're experiencing with your relationships is something that's coming from past lives. Um, if there's any kind of like obsession or disillusionment, or you meet someone, because you do have North Node conjunct Venus, so it's like there will be these instant karmic attractions where you're like, oh my God, I met like the whole like I saw the person from across the room and we looked at each other and went up and talked and it felt so natural, like you know the kind of stories I hear a lot with people who have this. um and by the way, I have this too. I actually like think about it, like I have North Node conjunct Venus also. And I think that all my everything in with respect to that realm of reality has been very faded, you know, almost laughingly faded. So connecting these dots I was connecting before is Neptune. It's basically saying that like you need a partner that is going to help you love yourself, but you have to find that love within yourself first, or you might continue a cycle of seeing someone that looks good on the outside and diving in too deep, too fast with that Mars in 12th house. And then all of a sudden you're stuck. Libra South Node doesn't want to rock the boat, doesn't want to, disappoint. You're stuck with this person that you don't want to be with, but then it's hard. It's like you're in this like karmic entanglement where it's like very hard for you to get out of the relationship, you know? Mhm. Now, mm, that's odd. Nothing about your chart, just about how my aspect grid is not telling me about aspects that are very obviously in the chart. Um, So obviously a huge part of your chart is this Pluto opposite Sun. Now this is maybe about the father. Maybe the father was a little bit overbearing. Um, and you know, lots of darkness could have been in the childhood. Lots of kind of, yeah, meeting meeting the darkness, I guess you could call it, like, dark night of the soul energy. Hold on one second. So the thing that I always see with people who have Pluto opposite, or mostly opposite Sun, or I guess just Pluto Sun in general, um, is that, especially as a Taurus, right? Um, which is, everyone born between 84 and 98 will have it, Pluto in Scorpio. So there's this intense struggle to like really express the ego safely. And I always see like these just really intense clashes. Um, and it definitely can create like a control freak. And it's definitely another one of these fast tracks to spiritual growth, because um, you cannot be a perfect human being, right? So super high standards, and yeah, it can bring lots of like relationship struggles and crises, um, self-sabotage, all these themes, right? All these Pluto themes. But the whole point is that it makes you scorpionic in the sense that the Taurus wants things to stay the same, but the opposite of Pluto is pulling you into that into that shadow, into that death rebirth transformation. Um, so which that remains like a constant in your life. So it almost makes you like kind of like an eighth houser. So this speaks to like, this massive like, these changes, these episodes you've gone through, these epochs you've gone through in your life, where you look back at them, you're like, wow, I can't even recognize myself at that age, right? So the big thing here is about surrender. Everything Pluto always about surrender, accepting change and imperfection. Um, but yeah, the dark side of Pluto and Scorpio: possessiveness, manipulation, jealousy, trying to control because you're afraid to lose the person, which um I was saying, yeah. I'll get back to the Venus and Neptune one in a sec. But also it just pushes you towards this need to understand the truth, right? And the occult, the esoteric. But sometimes there's like a major trauma with this one. I've seen that quite a bit, that forces one into like major changes. Um, but yeah, it's big for like needing to like really get like self-image is something that you probably had to struggle with and really had to like work really hard to attain. But in the end, Sun Pluto, like, what's better for being a leader, right? For real leadership, right? Um, and yeah, you can really heal people through your like your own, like it's like when you've gone through that Plutonic transformation, like I have, like you have, um, you have the ability to give it to other people, but you have to go through it first. And that's why healers have difficult charts. So yeah. So okay, back to the Venus Neptune. Like Neptune's in the seventh, right? So I got sidetracked a little bit from this one, but like basically there's a real need for you to see yourself clearly first, and only once you see yourself clearly can you see partners clearly, because there can be a tendency to just expect perfection, with partners, and like you meet someone and you're like, oh my God, they're so perfect, and then they show one sign of like not of just being a human, not being perfect, and then you're like, okay, I'm out. So it can create the ultimate like honeymoon, like pink cloud person. Um, but yeah, it's all about self-love and how you love others. And a lot of times, like I've always seen it as low self-esteem early in life, especially with all the 12th house. And messages, the Chiron and Gemini, I think of it like the messages you received about yourself and your intelligence and your mind, and just like doubting, like is my way of thinking just wrong? You know? And being a Cancer rising can be difficult to like kind of have your own back, right? And Mars in 12th house too. So like finding your own power is like this huge theme also. Um, so yeah, it's all about self-love. It distorts your self-image a lot, the Neptune square Venus, I think. Neptune just, yeah, but like at the same time, it's like the ultimate creativity and psychic potential. Um, so yeah, like all Neptune aspects, or yeah, like anything with the mirror or cameras is a great way to deal with it. Affirmations, filming like a daily vlog of yourself, like that you don't show anyone, that helps a lot. Enhancing your beauty, like whatever that means to you. Um, yeah, anything like that. And yeah, once you really, really love yourself and learn to value like what you value and not hate on it. Because like it's okay to be a go-getter, it's okay to be a hustler. It's okay to care about, making money and succeeding in the world. Like that's in your chart is success. So you can be a deeply spiritual person, but also someone who wants to, create wealth. So yeah. Um a big thing with Neptune also is that it can really, yeah, like I said, like distort your like your view of other people can be so distorted, and it's completely a projection of your own inner love at that moment. So tracking that is really, really important in the whole over idealization of romantic partners, being blind to their faults at the start, and then that always ends in disappointment, right? Um, and that can be extreme to this one where the person just like only goes for people that like don't love them or don't respect them, and then person that does, they don't want them. And there can be like this the Disney, I call it like the Disney syndrome, can be really, really rife with this kind of aspect, right? But of course, when it's yeah, and also self-abuse is another thing that can come up here, right? So self-hatred, unhealthy eating, um addiction, all these things. Neptune addiction, right? So and yeah, and the seventh, I mean, it just kind of reinforces that, like just that search for perfection in intimate relationships, just never ending. Um, and but at the end of the day, what's the high energy of it? It's wanting to have a very spiritual union, right? A very spiritual relationship of growth in that sense. So Vertex, I'll go there. No, let's finish some of these. I'm not picking my nose. I'm scratching the side of it, by the way. So Moon, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Moon and Mars just by itself, it's like someone who acts on their emotions. So they can be very emotionally led. So they need to like really learn to just cool the jets. But the Saturn opposition helps that in a weird way. Um, and then the Moon opposite Uranus, it's like super rebel, someone who wants to be just so different than their family, who might run away to different country. I don't think you live in Bulgaria anymore. I don't know. Um, and just create a whole different life. And but like on an emotional level, they can be very up and down, right? Very up and down. So it gives like a very exciting life, but a very erratic, um, an erratic life, like big push and pull between freedom and security, the old and the new, right? And there can be like, yeah, lots of emotional mental stress. So like that's like another one of these transits that pushes you into deeper growth, spiritual growth. Um yeah, move, like a lot of people just move a lot. I feel like and relationships. So like we always have to connect it back to relationships. It can make one bored quite easily. And if there's any like overly cleanness in relationships, they can just feel like the relationship is like a prison, right? And there can also be like a level of like emotional distance that's created, so it can make it like difficult to like have vulnerability, especially with the Saturn and closeness with other people. But yeah, very, very independent emotionally. Of course, like Uranus is like the it's about astrology, so it's no surprise to me that you're into astrology or that you're an astrologer. But yeah, like a lot of times what I see with this is like real inability to make relationships. And with the Neptune one, yeah, the Disney syndrome of just like twin flame is gonna come and save can be something that comes up, right? Or have come up. Um so yes, but like honestly, like, everything as you know in the chart is about gaining conscious awareness. So like that's like why, like especially with this one, Moon Uranus, it's like the breakthroughs really do come through understanding astrology, understanding psychology, all these different things, right? Subjects. And slowing down, calming down, that's and gaining control over your emotions, especially the 12th house Mars. That's massive, 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 and life changing to that note. And that's when you can like really be so stable and in control of your own emotions. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah. Um, okay. So yeah, finding that balance between like, yeah, those two polarities. Anyways, let's see. Mercury and Taurus, opposite Pluto also. So, that's that same energy. That I think I like Mercury, Neptune and Mercury, Pluto. I swear to God, especially Neptune, but Mercury, Pluto, I need to make a series about that. Would people hmm, I don't know. I just think like Mercury, like that's a tough one, right? How do I even explain it? There can be lots of fights, you know, lots of verbal, altercations. There can be lots of uh obsessive tendencies. I mean, it does create a mind that is just so deep and probing, right? That wants to just investigate. I mean, you told me you had 15 years of experience in astrology, right? Um, so like just the ability to just go deeper and deeper. So that's maybe why you'll appreciate a reading like this, because like I'm giving you like this like spread out. This is what it is, the big picture. And this is how like I weigh everything in my own way. I weigh, like, to me what's important might not be what's important to someone else. So but you look at things a lot deeper than most people, and you can so this could speak to that connection between like Gemini Chiron, right? Is like the fact that you just were at a young age just way deeper than the people around you. Um, what else? What else? What else? So yeah, so that's the gift of that one. Um, yeah, just like a really, really intense, like kind of mind and psychological process. And someone who like doesn't just take things that so like another thing that can happen is that like you can get in arguments because you're not someone that just takes things at face value. Like you don't just like watch the CNN. You're like, oh yeah, that's yeah, yeah, yeah. You're like, no, I want to like okay, I want to see some different sides, right? Um, but what can happen is that like other people don't really give a shit about the things that you're like care so much like you. They're not so smart like you. So and it just gives us hate for small talk. So yeah, like others can't really relate to you on your depth of thinking a lot of times, which is the opposition. Um so yeah, like gaining like conscious awareness of your communication style is very important. But yeah, it's very, very good for intelligence. So yeah, it makes someone who can really improve their and transform their communication style and just um yeah, it can end up being like a very good asset. So with that said, let's see. Yeah, like the Neptune trining, Mercury and Sun. I mean, that's all about just like imagination, inspiration. If you're when you're able to sit, just like having it all come. I like that you have like a really nice balance of elements, although no, yeah, every element. Literally, like it's so interesting to try that everything's in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Like every single inner planet, which are the first four signs. So that makes me think that this life is really like karmically a new beginning in one sense, right? In the sense of like identity forming. And you're meant to really go out and try lots of new things, right? You're really meant to go out and do the whole trial and error thing, right? That's the Gemini moon. So yeah. And of course it all relates back to the 11th house, right? Of like how you can give back to society and like how you can transform yourself and find groups of people that help push that forward. Venus ruling your 10th, being in it, or your 11th, excuse me, the house of your son. Um, I think that like you will yeah, like you will meet the right people that can help work with you towards your greatest goals and ambitious. Um, I have to like look at the chart to like make sure it's not like fucking lying to me. That's fine. Talk about these oppositions. One sec, I have to send something. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I'm sorry. I could pause this. Should I just pause it for a second? Okay, I'm gonna pause it for a second. I think it's better. I kind of like pausing things like towards the end of my reading sometimes. Kind of nice. Okay. Okay, we are back, 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 back. Okay, anyways, so rounding out some things here. So part of Fortune Virgo, Vertex and sixth house. What do these have in common? Service, 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 service. Um, so Vertex is in Sag, also interesting. Um, I think of the Vertex in a lot of different ways, but one way is like it's the doorway to higher awareness, higher consciousness. And a lot of times it's in a relationship house, but in the sixth house, it's not. And it's about service to humanity. Um, so yeah, like how can you be effective to others, right? Um, being able to give freely without expecting things back, right? Um, so yeah, like also I think it speaks to like really developing a high level of skill in whatever field you choose, and there could be something with animals. If that's animals, what else? Um, and then the anti-vertex in the 12th house, right? Opposite part, which is at 12, yeah. Um, that gives like a level of psychic ability. Um, and it can it okay, oh, I just picked up on something real strong in my famous, not famous, my favorite. Let me feel in this more. I usually do this when not being filmed, by the way. So there's a link between your psychic ability and your willingness to be of service. Now, of course, it has to come from the heart, right? Um, and it's all about like the test is like how wisely and for the humanity you're using this psychic ability as opposed to for individual games and like that. So Vertex and Sag, you know, Vertex is so important. I mean, it makes travel so important. The Vertex is like the doorway to other realities. So there could be astral travel also. And this feels so good. Yeah. So basically, like, you can be very drawn to like specific countries, kind of how I was drawn to Romania, and just like following that instinct. You can have like, yeah, like a certain destiny connected to with a person born there. What else? 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 Yeah, doorway to higher awareness is through like traveling and finding that higher truth. Different cultures. Antivertex and Gemini, that will draw you to people who are Gemini and they are like Geminis, like they the storytellers, the people who stimulate your imagination, who are interesting, who are multifaceted. Um, and these people will help you be able to kind of like record your adventures and whatnot. Um, and yeah, so like at important times in your life, the anti-vertex is like saying, it's like a key changing pivotal points in your life, or even times of crisis, right? Um, you'll really be drawn to people who have that Sag energy. and or like a strong Jupiter, which me, just joking. But I am a Sagittarius, and they will, yeah, really protect you and stimulate you and move you to greater awareness. So nice. Okay, talk about that, 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 talk about that. And yeah, it all comes around to just like the 10th house. We talked about like just like how Capricorn and Aries, it's just so entrepreneurial, and once you find that correct path for you, then boom, you're off. Vesta in 11th in Taurus. Vesta Taurus, I mean, that's just like a very like good worker, someone who can work in a very yeah, like consistent manner. Um and 11th house, someone who's really dedicated to work for humanity. Um so really nice. Um then we've got Palace in the fifth, third eye, Scorpio, no wonder, right? It can give like lots of creative um ideas, lots of creative ideas. Um Lots of creative ideas and ability to really like dive deep into your intuition. Also like artistically talented in the fifth house. And your children can be very intelligent. And yeah, it speaks even further to like that probing mind you have, right? Wants to get to the bottom of things. It wants to understand everything, the detective, the psychologist, the person, like the fuck small talk person. So yeah, Palace will do that. Palace is like I think of it as like the third eye, putting a chewing tobacco in, don't judge me. It's the sexy kind from Sweden that are like uh, cool mint, and I only have like the good flavors. And I'm not addicted, I promise. I promise. Like I've only done it for a few months. And I decided like I'm gonna start doing this. I always quit when I start tobacco stuff somehow. I just like end up I get to a point and I'm just like, eh. I guess that was more cigarettes, but I never was really into cigarettes. It's fucking gross, dude. It hurts your lungs. But anyways, okay. So Black Moon Lilith in first house, watching out for being selfish, self-absorbed, um, too much about like kind of your emotion, like kind of like the crab crawling in and hiding from reality, especially as being a 12th houser. That's kind of your lower vibration, is to watch out for like using your like high emotional powers to wait a minute. Yeah. To kind of like psychologically manipulate. Um you really impact a lot of people around you, so it's really important that you know about that. And important to know when to withdraw from other people's. um yeah. And yeah, just like watching out for like the tendency to one manipulate emotionally. Um Two, to like kind of like make people feel bad for you, self-victimize. And three, to like withdraw into the shell, when you get hurt, and to not trust again and stuff like that. And just like dealing with reality, right? So not having like a victim mentality. And yeah, it kind of goes back to like also like the power thing, right? Like where it's like the Pluto, where it's like when you find that power within yourself, that true spiritual power through the shadow work, through the accepting the parts of you that aren't perfect, and feeling the pain and crying and all that stuff, that's where you really find your power. Um, yeah, yeah, let's pull these babies up. No, it gets interesting. What's been interesting the whole time? I just stand at my computer. Okay, let me form a mental collection. Fixed stars and asteroids. But yeah, like the North Node conjunct Venus also could mean that your purpose is tied to some type of like creative outlet, which the Pluto in the fifth house also suggests. It suggests that you're karmically that you were held back in your creative development, even though your South Node is in Libra. Your authentic creative development. So in this lifetime, there's a big urge towards that. Hmm. Says this. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So Sappho on your sun, is very good for being sexy. I'm just gonna say it for sexual, for just being very bold in sexual expression. It's also very like artistic, um, but open in the strong libido. That was very sexual. Um, then what else I see? I saw Rigel on Mars. Bellatrix is kind of close to the moon, maybe just out. So, and then which other ones I see? Nope. Heart of Fortune is in, also I didn't mention it, in Virgo, so third house. So part of fortune, you know, where you find like your flow state, writing could be communicating, being of service, of course, with Virgo, having your life kind of outlined in a way that like service again, but like, like where you're just very content with what you're giving back to society, which links to your 11th house sun. Mhm, mhm, mhm. So, mhm. I think Rigel and Mars is difficult, honestly. It can make them a little bit ruthless sometimes. But it also gives like a really, really good ability to sell. Like it's like a gift, like just being a natural salesman. Um, but like the thing is, you to not take advantage of other people, right? Um, yeah, it's like people who usually speak fast, very bright, and they can like sell anything to anyone. And it's like really good for communication. Um, mhm. And yeah, Venus conjunct Jupiter is just like one of the best aspects in all of astrology, right? It's just it's just like very good for popularity and just like having lots of luck. It's like a very it's like that's like what if I had like a post is like very like good karma, um very good like good karma in the chart. It's like Venus and in Jupiter together, right? Um it's just like the two best looking planets coming together, right? So it adds the attractiveness, popularity. There's like a friendly nature, makes someone very non-threatening, especially the Cancer rising. And yeah, really good for like the social life and money and luxury, like attaining like your goals, especially in the 10th house. So yeah, also there you do have there has to be like watching out for like greed and over expansiveness in that area. Um, but yeah, overall like very good. Mhm. So yeah, yeah. Lots. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if you have follow up. I probably should check right now. Yeah, you did. So yeah, basically, and you probably already know about all your transits, solar return, all that. But what I tell most people, it's usually people who like aren't, like you with all your experience in astrology, is that um most people do like the not just the follow up, they'll do like the follow up mix of the current astrology, which I do. I give the price of 250, and it just makes it so it's like first hour follow up, then move right into the current astrology reading, basically. But like I don't really like yeah. I mean, if you know all that stuff already, it's like not as necessary as it would be for someone who doesn't. But if you do feel called to having that done, I would love to do it. It'd be a pleasure, and it's always very magical. I go over the solar return, progressions. I'll look at solar arc, course transit, all this, everything. And it's usually 2 hours, so it ends up being like a 3 hour first hour follow up. Next two are like the current astrology. So yeah. So cool. So take your time and let me know, and we can set up the follow up. All right.